Welcome to CultureAlley Spanish. Hola, this is Español Lesson 16. Let's revise what we learned in the previous lesson. Today translates to hoy. Try that, please. Hoy. Good. Tomorrow becomes mañana. Great. And yesterday is ayer. Moving on, day after tomorrow will become pasado mañana, where pasado meant past. Can you try the translation for day after tomorrow? It is pasado mañana. Good. Day before yesterday is translated as anteayer. Very good. See you tomorrow translates to hasta mañana or nos vemos mañana. Can you say that? Hasta mañana or nos vemos mañana. Perfect. Let's revise the common expressions of time that we learned in the last lesson. Since we don't translate it in Spanish, it is late becomes es tarde. Can you try that? Es tarde. Similarly, it is early becomes es temprano. By the morning is translated to por la mañana. Por la mañana. Great. By the afternoon will become por la tarde. By the night is translated as por la noche. Try that, please. Por la noche. Very good. At midday translates to al mediodía. And at midnight becomes a la medianoche. Great! Today we will learn about numbers in Spanish. To move on to our next topic of asking and telling time, it is essential that we learn basic numbers in Spanish and also how large numbers are derived from basic ones. Let's have a look at the numbers from 0 to 99. To learn numbers in Spanish, you need to remember just a few basic numbers, and the rest can be derived from them. Isn't it interesting? Let us start by learning numbers from 0 to 10. 0 translates to cero. Try saying that. Cero. 1 becomes uno or una. Can you say that? Uno or una. 2 is dos. Say that, please. Dos. 3 becomes tres. Try that one. Tres. Very good. 4 will be cuatro. Say that, please. Cuatro. 5 is cinco. Try saying that. Cinco. 6 becomes seis. Can you say that? Seis. 7 is translated as siete. Say that one. Siete. Good. 8 will be ocho. Try saying that. Ocho. 9 becomes nueve. Say that also. Nueve. And 10 is diez. Try that, please. Diez. Great. Uno, 1, is shortened to un when it immediately precedes a masculine noun. It changes to una before a feminine noun. Un and una are used as indefinite articles. The indefinite articles a or an have the masculine form as un and feminine form as una. For example, un perro is a male dog. All right, it's time for some quizzes. How will you translate 4? Will you translate it as tres, or cuatro, or cinco? 4 will get translated to cuatro. Did you get that right? How will you say 6? Will you say it as siete, or seis, or cinco? 6 becomes seis. How did you do there? Let's now look at numbers from 11 to 19. Notice the pattern from 16 to 19 carefully. 1 becomes uno or una, and 11 will become once. Try saying that. Once. Great. 2 is dos, and 12 is doce. Say that, please. Doce. 3 becomes tres, and 13 becomes trece. Can you say that? Trece. Very good. 4 will be cuatro, and 14 will be catorce. Try saying that. Catorce. 5 is cinco, and 15 is translated as quince. Can you say that? Quince. Good. Moving on. 6 is seis, and 16 is dieciséis. Try saying that. Dieciséis. 7 is translated as siete, and 17 becomes diecisiete. Say that, please. Diecisiete. 8 will be ocho, and 18 will be dieciocho. Can you say that? Dieciocho. 9 becomes nueve, and 19 is translated as diecinueve. Say that also. Diecinueve. Did you figure out something while translating numbers from 16 to 19? Yes, 16 ends with seis, and 17 ends with siete, and similar is the pattern in 18 and 19. Let's have a look at this. 6 is seis, and 16 becomes dieciséis. So, 16 is dieci plus seis. Notice that in 16, there is an additional accent mark on the E in seis. 7 is siete, and like 16, 17 will be diez y siete. It is dieci plus siete. There is a similar pattern for 18 and 19 as well. 18 is dieci plus ocho, and 19 is dieci plus nueve. Great! All right, time for some more quizzes. How do we translate 13? Do we translate it as trece, or tres, or siete? The solution is trece. Hope you got that right. How do we say 16? Do we say it as diecisiete, or dieciséis, or catorce? 16 becomes dieciséis. Did you get that right? Will you translate 12 as dos, or once, or doce? 12 will become 12. Hope you got that right. Let's move on. Let's look at basic numbers from 20 to 29. 20 translates to 20. To form numbers from 21 onwards, we use the pattern 20 plus the units number in Spanish. For example, 1, 2, 5. Note that although 20 is 20, ending in E, while forming numbers from 21 onwards, we use 20, ending in I. For example, 21 will be 20 plus 1, which becomes 21. Can you say that? 21. 22 will be 20 plus 2, which becomes 22. Say that, please. 22. 23 is 20 plus 3, which becomes 23. Try saying that. 23. Very good. For numbers ending in 2 or 2, 3 or 3, and 6 or 6, an additional accent mark is added while combining them to form numbers from 21 to 29. For example, 2 is 2, and 22 becomes 22. Notice the accent mark in 22, please. 3 is 3. 23 will be 23. 6 is 6. 26 will be 26. Excellent. We now know how to translate numbers from 21 to 29. Let's look at each one of them. 20 will become 20. Say that one. 20. 1 becomes uno or una, and 21 becomes 21 or 21. Try saying that. 2 is 2, and 22 will be 22. Can you say that? 22. 3 becomes 3, and 23 is 23. Say that, please. 23. 4 will be 4, and 24 is 24. Try that one. 24. 5 is 5, and 25 is translated as 25. Try saying that also. 25. Moving on, 6 is 6, and 26 will be 26. Can you say that? 26. 7 is translated as 7, and 27 is 27. Say that, please. 27. 8 will be 8, and 28 will be 28. Try that one. 28. 9 becomes 9, and 29 becomes 29. Can you say that? 29. Great. Some more quizzes. 20 is translated as, your first option is 20. Your second, 15. And third, 20. The correct answer is 20. How did you do there? How will you say 27? Will you say it as 27, or 26, or 17? 27 will be 27. Great. Moving on, will 24 become 25, or 24, or 22. The solution is 24. Hope you got it correct. 29 will be translated as 21 or 27 or 29. 29 will be 29. Let us now see the numbers from 30 to 99. Forming numbers from 30 to 99 is very simple. They all follow a simple pattern. The pattern is like this. Spanish for tens, like for 30 or 40, plus E, then Spanish for the units place. For example, 1, 2, 6. Literally, the conversion for 31 will be 30 and 1. Since we already know all numbers at units place, like 1, 2, 4, 6, etc., let's look at numbers at tens place, like 30, 40, 50, etc. The numbers at tens place gets translated as following. 30 translates to 30. Try saying that. 30. 40 will be 40. Can you say that? 40. 50 will become 50. Say that, please. 50. 60 is 60. Try that also. 60. Once more. 60. Excellent. Moving on, 70 will be 70. Can you say that? 70. 80 is translated as 80. Try saying that. 80. And 90 is 90. Say that, please. 90. Good. Let's try saying 31. The pattern is Spanish for tens plus E, which means and, plus Spanish for units place. So, for 31, it will be Spanish for 30 plus E plus Spanish for 1. 31 is literally 30 and 1, which becomes 30 y uno. Try saying that. 30 y uno. Very good. So, 31, literally 30, and 1 translates to 31, where 30 is 30 and 1 we know is uno. Let's have a look at 45. 45, literally meaning 40 and 5, is translated as 45. Can you say that? 45. Good. Spanish for 40 is 40, and 5 is 5. Next is 57. 57, literally 50 and 7, becomes 57, following the pattern where 50 is 50 in Spanish and 7 is 7. Try saying that, please. 57. Let's have a look at some numbers. 1 is uno or una, and 31 translates to 31. 2 is dos, and 42 becomes 42. Try that, please. 42. 3 is tres, and 53 will be 53. Say that one. 53. 4 will be cuatro, and 64 is 64. Can you say that? 64. Great. Moving on, 5 is 5, and 75 will be 75. Try saying that. 75. 6 is seis, and 86 is translated as 86. Can you try that? 86. 7 is translated as siete, and 97 becomes 97. Try that also. 97. 8 will be ocho, and 98 will become 98. Say that, please. 98. 9 becomes nueve, and 99 will be 99. Can you try that? 99. Awesome. All right, it's quiz time again. How will you say 46? Will you say it as 46, or 47, or 56? 46 will be 46. Excellent. How do we say 74? Do we say it as 64, or 74, or 75? The correct answer is 74. How did you do there? Moving on, will you say 88 as 81, or 88, or 88? 88 will be 88. Hope you got that correct. How do you say 92 in Spanish? Will it be 32, or 99, or 92? 92 becomes 92. Great. All right, it's time for the Culture Leaf of the Day. Today, we will get to know something about Spanish wine. Spanish wine has kept pace, generating an explosion of new wines, wineries, brands, and regions that is unprecedented in viniculture history. Spain is an ancient wine-producing country and produces nearly as much wine as the number 1 and number 2 wine producers in the world, which are Italy and France. Grapes are the third biggest crop in Spain after cereals and olives. Spain is the number 1 ranked country in the world in terms of area covered by vineyards. Despite most of Spain's wine being red, 61.5% of Spain's vineyards are white. This is because Spain also makes a lot of brandy and sherry. Of the total wine produced, 1/3 of Spanish wine is exported. Here is something very interesting. Let's learn how to read a Spanish wine label. The place where 1 is marked tells us about the name of the wine. In this case, it is Álvarez, Alfaro, Crianza. Number 2 tells us about the location where the grapes were grown. Here it is La Rioja. Number 3 tells us what type of grape was used to make the wine. 4 tells us the year the wine was made, and 5 tells us about the name of the winery. In this case, Álvarez Alfaro. In the next lesson, we will learn how to ask and tell time. We hope you enjoyed your lesson today. See you at the alley for the next one.